welcome to another episode of the Maker Dad podcast. Tonight, I'm going to step back a little bit and go not really behind the scenes, but try to explain a thinking process I recently had of getting a woodworking slash maker type business set up or going through the whole process before getting things set up. So tonight, let's actually talk about the thought processes that I've been going through for the past couple weeks of, you know, making sure that, especially, I know I got into like a different mid sentence and stopped, but if you are married or you have a significant other or a partner or something, it's actually very important to talk about when you start getting into thinking about creating a business and the thought processes, wow, thought processes that you need to go through in order to make, your side of things and then their side of things of way of thinking kind of so you kind of match or meet up in the middle. The thing is for the past couple weeks, I've been mulling over of how going through this process with my wife and how she is with the monetary side of things and how I am on the monetary side of things. We are two completely different things of the spectrum of how we look at money and how I'm trying to put this nicely, especially from my end, because I'm more, gotta be careful of how I word things and how you word things to your significant other when you talk about these things. One of the things is that you kind of have to see their side the of the book, what they're coming from, their experiences, and if they don't have any experience or anything like that with creating a business or even business things at all, that's a major issue that you kind of have to work around. So like I said, for the past couple of weeks, I've been mulling over a couple different avenues of how to approach this. And what we came up with is that it's going to have to be a very slow approach. And what I'm having to do is you can create this business or get this started is a very small step at a time, baby steps really, is creating a product or going through the research and development of a product that you have to you feel like you're going to how should I say it, be capable of producing and is in supply, and there is a demand for it. So one of the things I was just thinking of, and we did have family over, and we talked with sister-in-law and brother-in-law. They mentioned like a charcuterie board. When I first started doing this back in January, getting the Maker Dad aspect up and running and wanting to document the process of creating a business and getting pretty much just build it in the public eye, I was thinking to myself, well, cutting boards and charcuterie boards are kind of oversaturated to effect that if you look on Etsy, a lot of a lot of the entries, a lot of the items are going to be mass produced. There's not really any kind of artisanal or handcrafted kind of aspect to it anymore. Not to say that there isn't, but the ones that are at the front of the line, like the first or second page, are from companies or manufacturers that can basically mass produce these items at a rate that for myself, I would not be able to even match them. And especially going through and starting this up and having to go through all the successes and failures of getting these things taken care of and going through material costs and just try to figure out what design would work or might sell better and something that I would be happy as well from the final product would I would be happy selling this and putting my name on it. That would be a very big barrier. But looking at it is probably going to be a good idea as kind of like a trial run, just to get your feet into the door. It's to get a design set up and get something out there that, again, like I said, that you're happy with and that you can sell. The problem is that you would have to think locally. Is it something that you can post up on, I wouldn't say Facebook Marketplace, because Marketplace is kind of more thought of as a garage sale, yard sale type of section of Facebook. People are not going, really, they're not looking for $150 item. They're looking for something that is a good deal, it's cheap, and that they can get locally. The other thing I can think of is potentially getting a small inventory set up and sell it at like local craft fairs, craft markets, farmers markets, something like that. I would have to do a lot of research on different markets that are available within the area near me. I don't want it to really go like 100 miles, because then what you're thinking of is how expensive it is, especially this point of time with gas prices. And then if you're driving 100 miles out, that's just one way. So effectively, you're doing 200 miles. And if you don't sell anything, it's a complete wash. So you kind of have to think locally on where you're going to sell these items. But even before you get to that point, you have to go through and team up with your significant other, your partner, wife, husband, whoever, to make sure that the business that you're starting up is pretty much on a solid foundation from the very beginning, or as solid as it can be from the very beginning. Because I've looked at I believe it's an old saying that in the business world, any kind of entrepreneurial or small startup businesses, you're not going to make a profit within like the first 5 years, if that. So this is something that you have to be aware of and comfortable of, that knowing you're probably not going to make a profit. You're going to burn through some stuff. Expenses are going to be high. So it's just something that you have to think about as you're going through. And this is the reason why I wanted Create the Maker Dad experience, is to document and share my experience going through this whole process as well, knowing that you're not alone out there. There is other people, hundreds of thousands of people are doing this every day, or getting started, or thinking about getting this started, of creating a small business, and the whole process of getting up and running, and what works, what doesn't, experimenting with websites or online stores, or going through the whole process of finding out or getting part of a craft fair organization. So it's just one of those things I wanted to do, is to document this whole process as the maker dad, and as someone who is working a 9 to 5 with a family, bills to pay. So it does go slow. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this episode and talk about the process and the thought processes I was having. It's actually, it is important to have these discussions with with other people, other your significant other, husbands, wives, and probably family members as well, family people. It's just because if you're doing this alone, it's even harder when you think about it, because the process of doing all of this by yourself it's just compounding the thought processes and the actual going through the experience without any kind of support system in place is very daunting. And I know there are plenty of people who do that, and I applaud you, because you're doing a lot of work on your own shoulders, with a lot of stress, especially if you're working a full-time job, or doing that plus taking care of family, kids, dogs, cats, oh my. But that's the whole part and parcel of this whole experience. Is it's a journey. The reason why I wanted to do this to begin with, back in January when I started the Maker Dad, was I wanted to get out from being under the yoke of the man, of big corporate. I wanted, actually, instead of working my life away to make somebody else rich, I wanted to do that for myself. I wanted to work to enrich myself and my family to make, you know, we don't have to worry about bills or other stuff like that. But that's the reason why I wanted to get this started. But the first thing I will have to do, and actually I would think it'd be great too if you actually would join me, is next week I'm going to be talking about getting a system in place, or actually getting it started, of writing down small goals. Like, okay, by next month I want to have IEN number taken care of so I can work on the taxes and I'll be okay, legal and stuff like that, or get a business name set up. Because I think that's actually probably important, is to do your research for a business name. Are you going to go sole proprietor or LLC or corporation, whatever? And you have to do the research, and especially if, depending on where you live, what state or even country, really, is what kind of regulations you have to go through. So next week, if you join me, let's write down small goals for, let's say, for the next 6 months. What do we expect to accomplish? Don't say, I want to have a 50,000 a month business within the next 2 months. That's not going to happen. I'm sorry, but the YouTube gurus that have been promising you that by using simple AI tricks, no, that's not going to work for you. So I want to actually take this seriously, and I want you to write in your comments, say, hey, here's what I'm working on, or even in the comments on themakerdad.com when this episode is released. Let me know, because I'll be doing the same thing, and I'll be sharing the not the process, well, yeah, a little bit of the process and what I've come up with for next episode, and the whole thought process of going through the different ways of setting up my goals, for the small goals of getting certain things done by like a month or 2 months, or I mean 6 months from now. And I would like to share that with you, and I would definitely love to see what you come up with as well. So with that, there is a lot of thinking involved in this whole process of becoming a small business owner, entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, and maker, crafter, whatever you want to call yourself, is perfectly fine. I don't even know where I was going with that. But, anyways, if you have any experience with what I am going through, if you are just like me, first time going through this, definitely leave your comment down below. I would love to hear your side of the story, and share your experiences with everybody. And again, thank you for joining me on this episode of the Maker Dad podcast. If you haven't known, I'm Josh, and I'll see you guys next week. So until then, later, taters.